All right, James and I was sitting here vibing to your music. Um, so I, I don't know. I just think it's really a really special talent to be able to write lyrics that like put people in a mellow state of mind. So what's your creative process? I don't know if you touched on that before, but like how do you sit down and like write it? Do you have a storyboard for your music, or do you just freehand your creative process?
Ooh, I love this question, and I'm gonna try not to talk about this for hours because it's so easy. Actually, I'm considering starting to give songwriting lessons because that's how much I love talking about songwriting. um, so there's a lot of different approaches to songwriting, and my songwriting really drastically changed this year for the better when I started to understand some like fundamentals about songs, like just like understanding how to listen to other people's music in a new way. That alone helped shift a lot of what I wrote. So pre the great shift of 2020, I did a lot of free writing in the sense that it wasn't structured, and I just picked some chords that I liked and put poetry over it, essentially. Um, Imaginary was pre, and you can probably tell like there's no solidified chorus, quote unquote. I guess you could say that the lines, and I'm doing all right, I'm doing just fine. Like, I guess that could be a chorus, but a lot of like professional songwriters out there would be like, no, that's a pre-chorus. That's not a full-on chorus, or maybe that's just a hook, you know. Um, so a lot of my earlier writing is unstructured and very just free, and you can dive into that more when you listen to my Love Notes album, because all of that was very much just I'm hearing a sound and I'm chasing it. I'm chasing this sound, trying to figure out what the melody is on the vocal and what the chords are on whatever instrument that I picked. um, then I started to learn so much more, um, by just listening to songs and recognizing, oh, there's a lot of structure to songs. There's verses, there's pre-choruses, there's choruses, there's posts, there's intros, outros, there's bridges, or like what do all of these things do, right? What's the purpose of the song? Like why would a song have to be labeled so much versus like a poem? Like I started to dig into poetry a little bit these past couple of weeks. Katie and I gave a poetry workshop through the Anthem Project, and a lot of the rules that I found were like rhyming rules, like rhyming schemes, and how the rhyming leads the structure. But with songs, you don't necessarily have to rhyme in order for it to make sense. So if the rhyming isn't controlling the structure of the song, what is? It's the purpose, right? So a verse has this, you have to set the scene. A pre is transitional, a change is coming. The chorus is like, here's the big point, like, here's the message of the song that I want you to really understand and really dig into, um, and so forth. So, understanding those key building blocks of songwriting and then being able to identify that in other people's music that I really enjoy and seeing how those influence each other really was a game changer for me, because then I was like, okay, I can write with a lot more purpose, knowing that this is how people listen to music. Like when they get to the chorus, they want to know what the point of the song was, and they want to sing along to the chorus, or they want the chorus to be something melodic and hooky that's going to get stuck in their head. And if you don't give them that, then it's a nice song, but it probably won't be as successful as other songs, you know? So then that started to chime into like what I was thinking about a lot too. Um, and then there's like a bajillion strategies of writing. Like once you understand the structure, once you understand those building blocks, how to deconstruct somebody else's song and really like strip it down and listen to it. Um, there's like so many ways that you can go. Um, So I'll just give the Jackie example again. She and I took 8 hours total to write one song together, and it's because Jackie's process was very different from mine. Um, I'm more of like, okay, I'm feeling this in the moment, and I'm not going to think about it too much. I'm just going to write it down. And she's more like, okay, I'm going to write down what I'm feeling in the moment, but then I'm going to go back and question it. I'm going to ask the question of like, is this proving the storyline? Like we wrote a verse, a pre, and then the chorus, and then I like read everything over again, and I was like, this doesn't make sense. The verse is talking about grief and death and loss, and then the pre-chorus is talking about coming of age and like becoming yourself, and then the chorus is talking about being someone's friend and like carrying them through hard times. And it's like, okay, we lost the purpose of the song. We talked about too many things, and now we don't know where the direction is. um and so we wound up rewriting everything to write to the chorus. So then every line leading up to the chorus was very intentional. I was like, okay, so if by the chorus we're going to say that we're going to carry through, what are we carrying through from? The struggle. So what is that struggle? What does that struggle look like? How can we communicate that in only a few lines? Um, so that's one way. Another way that I also really like to do is to, like, really randomly, like I'll just pick random objects in my room and go to Pinterest, type those things in Pinterest, and find inspiration from that. And I don't know, like I said, I can talk about songwriting literally forever because I love it so much. But I guess I have like my go-tos and my strategies, and I think that the biggest thing that um, keeps me in the flow is consistency, like constantly in writing. Like I've just played for you like 3 or 4 songs that I wrote this week. Like I didn't give you like songs that I wrote like, well, except for Imaginary, that I wrote years ago, right? Because I am constantly challenging myself to find new material, to find new melodies, new chords, and practicing my craft. If I didn't do that, then I wouldn't have anything to show. I wouldn't have any good songs. Um, I think there's like the saying, like you have to write like 1,000 bad songs before you can like start to get to the good ones or something like that. Um, so I guess I'm just trying to get through my 1,000. I don't know how many songs I've written. I've started to keep track this year. I've written about 90 songs, but I only started to keep track in June. So I don't know what happened before June. So from June until now, I've written about 90 songs. And I think I'm just trying to work my way to the 1,000 so that I can like get to the really good ones. That was a really long answer, but I hope you enjoyed it. Jessica asks, what are the top 3 artists you have on repeat this month? Okay, on repeat, I've got Katie Dwyer, among us, because, well, I love her so much and she's got really great music. And this is something that you guys can do for your indie artists. Make a playlist of their songs, and whenever you're on a Zoom call, just turn the playlist on low volume and put your phone away and let the playlist run. Um, and I do that for a lot of my indie friends. So definitely Katie's one of them. As far as non-indie friends, people I have on repeat all the time would be Sarah Bareilles for sure. She's super, super inspiring to me all the time. Lately, Matt Kearney, like within this past month, I've been listening to a lot of Matt Kearney. And oof, this is hard. Who else have I? Zach Atkins. Zach Atkins. Was listening to a lot of Zach Atkins. So I'll type those in there if you guys want to look them up. Um, I had this conversation with Brian. He's one of my producer friends. And we're like, do you even listen to new music anymore? It's like, well, we try to, but most of the time we're listening to our own music or our friends' music or the music that we're working on, like if we're producing somebody else's track. Um, and Katie Dwyer, of course. Like, go listen to her. Um, so yeah, sometimes I'm like I don't think I've listened to any music that isn't like indie music in like 2 days because that's just the world I live in. I listen to a lot of new stuff, and I try to keep up with like really big names. Like I try to keep up with Ariana Grande and with Taylor Swift. Not necessarily that I'm like a huge fan of them, but I do know that they have spectacular production and that they are trendsetters in the music industry. So I want to know like what are you doing? Like what's interesting about you that is influencing the industry in the direction that it's going. For instance, Taylor Swift's Cardigan, that song has been really requested in the sync world, and I'm working on a song with my friend Janine with that song as a reference because a lot of people have been asking for that kind of vibe in the TV world. And so we're like, okay, let's write a song that's like Cardigan so that hopefully it gets some placements and can get on a TV show. So I also like to keep tabs on that kind of thing. Cool. Alrighty. Well, thank you guys so much for joining. It was such a pleasant night. And I hope to see you all again next month, either December 4th or December 11th. Or actually, let's take a vote because I don't remember which one it was. um, type in the chat, would you prefer December 4th